Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to my new lecture. And previous lecture we have already told, we have discussed about the pharmacokinetics, different type of drug interaction. So today we will talk about the drug interactions at the level of pharmacodynamic interaction. That how, as we know that pharmacodynamic, we know that the mechanism or the mode of action of drug, how the drug is used, indication of drug, side effect, adverse effects. So it come under the category of pharmacodynamic, that what the drug do at the body. So these are those, and with the activity of the object drug at a site of action is changed or altered by the participant. Such interaction may be direct or indirect. So pharmacodynamic interaction, there are two types of interactions. The first one is direct pharmacodynamic interaction, and the second one is indirect pharmacodynamic interactions. So before starting the direct pharmacodynamic interactions, we have already discussed about the pharmacokinetic, that what type of changes occurs with the drug when it is administered concomitantly with another drug. So in this case, and with the drug having similars, what is direct pharmacodynamic interaction? That type of interaction when the drugs having similar or opposing pharmacological effects are used concurrently, mean and combinations, you can say. So you can say simultaneously have two drugs, they are used and they have similar or opposing pharmacological effects. There are three consequences of direct interactions can be happens. So what are the name of these consequences which are always occurs after the direct drug interaction? The first one is antagonism, the second one is addition, or you can say summations, and the third one is synergistic effects, synergisms, or you can say potentiations. Now what is antagonism? Antagonism and pharmacology, antagonism is a word this is used for antagonisms. Antagonist, the drug may be agonist or the drug may be antagonist. So agonist mean when we need of a drug in order to increase the activity of the body is called agonist, and some drugs they are antagonist, or you can say blockers. So antagonism mean the interacting drugs having opposing actions. Let's suppose agonist and antagonist, they are used simultaneously, so definitely both drugs will try to oppose their action. For example, here antagonism, the classical example is acetylcholines. So we know that acetylcholine, this is neurotransmitters. Acetylcholine and noradrenaline having opposing effect on the heart rate. So this is the example of antagonism. Addition or summation. In addition and summation, so acetylcholine and noradrenalines, it can oppose the effect on the heart rate. So addition or summation. So addition or summation mean the interactions, the interacting drugs having similar action and the resultant effect in the same of the individual drug response. For example, let's suppose CNS depressants, those drugs which cause CNS depressions like sedative and hypnotic agents. For example, this is called additions or summations. CNS depressants, you can take the classical example of caffeine. So caffeine or CNS stimulant as well as depressants. So CNS depressant like sedative drugs, or you can say hypnotic drugs. The third one is synergistic effect, you can say synergism or potentiation. So in potentiation or synergism, so it is an enhancement of the action of one drug by another. So it means that one drug will enhance the effect of another drug. For example, let's suppose if alcohol it is used in a combination with aspirin, so alcohol will automatically enhance the analgesic activity of aspirin. Now what is indirect pharmacodynamic interaction? So indirect pharmacodynamic interaction in which both the object and the precipitant drugs have unrelated effect, but they later in some ways alert the effect, the effects of the formers. Let's suppose, for example, how indirect pharmacodynamic interaction occurs. and with both the object and participant drugs, they are unrelated effect. For example, let's suppose epsidicylates, it decrease the ability of platelets to aggregate, so it thus impairing the homeostasis. If warfarin induce the bleeding occurs. So as we know that warfarin is basically anticoagulant drug, and as we know that salicylates, so salicylate basically is acetyl, like acetyl salicylic acids, which have some anti-inflammatory activity, so it also decrease the ability of the platelets to aggregate. The platelets become unable to aggregate and thus impair the homeostasis of the body. Let's suppose if warfarin is induced, you can say bleeding can be occurs. Now, what are the consequences of the drug interactions? What will be happens? Why drug interaction occurs? So what will be the consequences? So the major consequences, the consequences of drug interaction may be in the form of which are major. So this is life-threatening conditions, while in moderate case, deterioration of the patient status. Deteriorations mean to worst the condition of the patient status, and minor, you can say little effect will be happen. These are the consequences which are occur after drug interactions. How to reduce the risk of the drug interactions? Now, what are the factors? Now it means that especially we pharmacists, we are responsible how to minimize the chances of drug interaction, how to minimize the risk of the drug interaction. So first of all, you will have to identify the patient risk factors. The second one is take through drug history. This is very important. That let's suppose a patient who has some complication, so you must will have, it's your responsibility, and you must will have to ask from that patient that what type of drug you have used in the past, present and future. So you have all these history. After that you can recommend it a drug to that patient. Be knowledge about the action of the drug being used. Let's suppose a drug is given to the patient, so you must will have a sufficient knowledge about that drug when you are going to administer it. Consider the therapeutic alternatives. Let's suppose if the drug is not available in the market, so you can use alternate brand. Avoid the complex therapeutic regimes when possible. So you can also avoid the complex therapeutic regime when possible. Let's suppose if you don't know about the you can say the clinical pharmacology of that drug, so it should be avoided. And it also becomes your social responsibility to educate the patient, and the second one is to monitor the therapy. Influence of smoking on drug interactions. Now what will be, let's suppose if someone is smoking, so what will be the effect of the smoking on the drug interaction? So smoking increase the activity of the drug metabolizing enzymes in the liver, so with the results that certain therapeutic agents, so smoking, it will directly increase the activity of the drug metabolizing enzymes in the liver. So as we know that smoking is you can say injurious to health. So when you are smoking, so means it will directly stimulate your nervous system. So with the result, certain therapeutic agent, for example, let's suppose diazepam, this is related to hypnotic agent, and propaxipine and theophylline bronchodilators, and olanzapine, this is antipsychotic agent. They are metabolized more rapidly and their effect is decrease. Means those candidates or those patients, those people who are smoking continuously or chain smoker, and they are using different type of drugs in the form of diazepam, propaxipine, theophylline, olanzapine, and they are metabolized more rapidly, so their effect is definitely it will decrease. The drug will not properly work. Chronic use of alcohol, and you can say beverages may increase the rate of the metabolism of drugs such as warfarin, phenytoin, probably by increasing the activity of hepatic enzymes. Let's suppose you can say if acute use of alcohol by non-alcoholic individual can cause the inhibition of hepatic enzymes. So as we know that liver is the major organ which is responsible for the metabolism, so definitely the whole system which revolves around the hepatic enzymes. The use of alcoholic beverages with sedate use and you can say other depressants, drugs could result in excessive depressant response. So it means that smoking should be stopped. Influence of food on drug interactions. So inshallah I will continue my lecture inshallah in the next session. Thank you so much.